ABC News headquarters in New York, Barbara Walters and John Stossel.
Good evening and welcome to 2020. Tonight, disturbing allegations about some famous people who are heroes to millions of American children, but who have also been accused of assault and rape and more. We're talking about some of the stars of the NBA, the National Basketball Association.
That's right, Barbara, and you've heard about the Kobe Bryant case, and that's only an accusation at this point, which he denies. But Bryant is just the latest NBA player to face rape charges, and a new book now claims a high percentage of players have been in trouble. Elizabeth Vargas investigates charges that these men, because of their fame, money, and their size, often play by their own rules.
They float through the air with balletic grace and finesse, making seemingly superhuman moves. The players in the NBA are the highest paid and among the most talented athletes in the world. But from these great heights, some do fall.
We have a free-for-all. Johnson blindsided Rivers. This one's going to get really ugly.
Aggression and intimidation are part of the game, but this behavior is not always confined to the court. Increasingly, some NBA players are making headlines on the evening news rather than SportsCenter. LA Laker Kobe Bryant is disputing charges of rape. Former New Jersey Nets star Jason Williams faces a retrial for reckless manslaughter charges. Many cases involving NBA players are not as widely reported. For example, Portland Trailblazer Ruben Patterson, the NBA's first registered sex offender. His victim was a 23-year-old woman we will call Jenny. In January 2000, she was hired by Patterson's fiancé, Shannon, as a nanny. For 9 months, Jenny says she loved caring for Patterson's 3 children. But then one night, her employer became violent.
And I heard him coming, and that's when I got the cold chill. And he was naked.
So he followed you down the hall still naked?
Mm-hmm. And he grabbed me.
Patterson is big, 6 foot 5 inches tall, 224 pounds.
You felt overpowered?
Yeah. I remember looking down and just seeing my feet like flailing, you know? Like I was trying to get some ground to like push off or get away. The more I was resisting, the angrier he was getting, and I could just feel it.
Jenny says she was unable to fend off the attack, and Patterson would not back down. She told police Patterson forced her to perform oral sex.
When you get into the documents and the transcripts, you find out it's a brutal crime.
Lawyer and journalist Jeff Benedict researched Patterson's assault on Jenny for his new book, Out of Bounds, Inside the NBA's Culture of Rape, Violence, and Crime.
He basically palms a girl's head like a basketball and has her perform a sex act on him that anybody who knew about that would say, this is outrageous.
Outrageous, and Benedict claims not uncommon. While he says that plenty of players do respect women and the law, his research found ample evidence of criminal behavior in the NBA. Of the 417 American-born players in the 2001-2002 NBA register, he managed to obtain information on 177. He found that 71 of those players, 40%, had been investigated, arrested, or convicted of a serious crime.
You didn't get to investigate more than half the players.
Right.
And many of the players who did come up with some sort of positive hit were never indicted or charged with a crime. How widespread is the violence, really?
Well, I think it's probably worse than what I found. And the reason I say that is I don't have the power that the FBI has or a law enforcement agency that can seek someone's complete criminal history.
But you can't really indict the entire league. You were only able to investigate less than half the players.
I'd love to know the full criminal history of that whole population, but I'm barred because of public access laws to doing that. Well, if people want to say, well, you only surveyed half the league, and half of the half had a record. To me, that's still pretty outrageous.
Billy Hunter is the executive director of the National Basketball Players Association. He says Benedict has wrongly lumped accusations in with convictions and has blown the problem out of proportion.
There's market in dumping on blacks and black athletes in particular. I think it's controversial. I think it sells.
You don't think that you have an image problem in the NBA? You don't think there have been a great number of players with run-ins in the law?
Our biggest problem is that we have a few guys who engage in miscreant or aberrant behavior, and everybody gets painted with a broad brush. So we tend to lose sight of those players, you know, who are law-abiding citizens who make positive contributions, and we tend to focus on those few.
NBA players do donate more than $10 million and plenty of free time every year to a variety of charities. But Benedict says that criminal behavior is not confined to just a few players. He uncovered a laundry list of charges against dozens of players in the last 16 years, charges that include rape, domestic violence, assault, and weapons possession. 33 cases resulted in convictions. Anthony Mason for endangering the welfare of a child, Allen Iverson for possession of a concealed weapon, Jason Richardson for domestic violence, Glenn Robinson also for domestic violence, Clifford Robinson for assaulting a female police officer. And last year, former Houston Rocket Eddie Griffin brutally attacked 22-year-old former girlfriend Joanne Romero.
And he just got furious. And I was scared, you know, by then. I was just, you know, walking backwards, and he hit me. I fall to the ground, and I'm just like, don't hit me, don't hit me. And so when I tell him that, and I look at him, as soon as we got eye contact, he hit me again.
As Romero tried to escape in her car, Griffin then pulled a gun and fired at Romero twice, missing with both shots. Griffin pled guilty to deadly conduct, but Benedict says obtaining a conviction against an NBA player is not always easy, particularly in rape cases.
You're not just indicting a famous athlete, you're indicting a power source. It's truth versus power when a woman accuses an NBA player of a sex crime, and oftentimes power wins.
Jenny says she agonized about whether to report the sexual assault by Ruben Patterson.
So why did you decide?
I couldn't let him get away with it. What he did was wrong.
When women accuse athletes of something as big as rape, what they don't realize is you didn't just take on a famous guy here. You're unleashing, you know, power that you've never seen before. I mean, there's an enormous set of nets that go up around this player. He is a commodity, he's a product, and he's got to be protected.
And the call is, you got to drop whatever you're doing.
Seattle attorney John Wolf, who has represented many pro athletes, described the urgent call he gets very often.
I have this client that has been charged with felony, a misdemeanor, is being investigated for something, and I need you right now, and I need your time for today, tomorrow, and forever, completely.
Although Wolf would not discuss the Patterson case, he did explain the strategy he uses when defending high-profile clients.
You have options that you don't have in other cases. We can engage experts to assist us with jury selection issues. We can engage experts to assist us with the evaluation of forensic evidence or other physical evidence.
Ruben Patterson's investigators delved into Jenny's sexual history and her private life.
What were they looking for?
They were probably looking for anything that they could use against me.
But over the next 9 months, Patterson's team never found a way to discredit the 23-year-old nursing school grad who had been raised in a Christian home.
She had no history of having sexual affairs or even an interest in NBA players. You had essentially Snow White. And that's what you need if you're going to bring a successful case against an NBA player.
The trauma of the investigation left Jenny devastated.
Well, I still cry. And then depression. I mean, anxiety attacks. I would break down in the middle of shopping malls. And I'll always, you know, I still have nightmares. I still, you know, it will always be affecting me.
It's a vicious game. The game is, if you can put enough heat on that woman, that woman is going to drop out before this thing reaches the courthouse, it's over. You win.
And for Patterson, the stakes were high. He was negotiating a multi-million-dollar contract with the Portland Trail Blazers, a team desperate to shed its own reputation as the Portland Jail Blazers. The team's fan base had seriously eroded after many players had run-ins with the law. Patterson's handlers had no desire to see him also labeled a criminal in the press.
If you're the player, or you're the player's lawyer, the last thing in the world you want is that woman on the stand telling the world what happened.
Jenny's case never went to trial. Patterson's team was able to settle the case without widespread publicity. While he pled guilty to attempted rape, he used a legal mechanism to deny any wrongdoing. However, he was required to register as a sex offender and was sentenced for the attack to 15 days in jail. Incredibly, Patterson was permitted to serve that sentence at his summer home in the off-season.
It felt like a slap in the face, you know, that's what this guy gets, and my life is completely turned upside down as a result, and he gets 15 days of vacation and home doing what he did anyway.
The day after Patterson finished his sentence at home, the Trailblazers held a press conference to announce his new $33 million contract.
There are people that deserve second chances, and Ruben is definitely one of those people, and I think as an organization, we're open-minded that way.
Everybody just think I'm a bad guy, and I'm not a bad guy.
4 months later, this emergency call.
You still there?
Yeah.
Where is he?
But I need to leave. I need to leave. He just tried to choke me.